So I'm going to introduce this book that I wrote. It's called edX E-Learning Course Development. So let me give you a little bit of background about it. So first I'm going to introduce you to MOOCs and edX. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what the book is even about to begin with. Then I'm going to share some information about the book itself. And then I'll briefly describe some elements, some aspects to my experience as an author of this book and my first time writing kind of a quote-unquote real book. Before I start, let me ask, has anyone here ever written a book or wanted to write a book? So if you've written a book, raise your hand. So what was that process like for you? Torture.
Oh, get excited.
Yes, very long, lots of hours.
Exciting parts and then challenging parts.
Yes, there's a lot of effort, and at the end it's kind of like running. I've never run a marathon, right? I typically only say that I only run when somebody chases me. I remember trying to finish chapter 4 minutes before New Year's Eve in 2014, but New Year's Eve 2015, and I wouldn't let myself leave my apartment until I finished the chapter, typing furiously. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but at the end it's a lot of satisfaction, and it feels good to produce something, to produce knowledge, to share information that can hopefully benefit other people, right? So with that said, let me introduce you a little bit to what MOOCs are. So if I say MOOC, other than the fact that it's defined for you up here, who knows what a MOOC is? Okay, so a few of you, right? So MOOC is an acronym, and MOOC stands for Massive Open Online Course. Okay, so I'll read you a quick definition, then I'll give a little more explanation. So a MOOC is a model for delivering learning content online to any person who wants to take a course with no limit on attendance. So given my enrollment this semester, that's kind of the perfect match for me, right? So typically what happens in MOOCs is they are either synchronous or asynchronous. Mostly they're asynchronous. That means they happen at any time that you can attend. That means you don't necessarily need to submit work according to a specific schedule. You can just kind of check in, check out, do the work, watch videos, learn as you go, and learn as it works for you. So a lot of them are asynchronous, but really the main strength or the purpose of a MOOC is to educate as many people as possible from one place, right? So it's kind of the same idea is from one to many, but it's from one to lots of many, right? I might recall the numbers incorrectly, but I recall a couple of years ago, maybe more, Stanford offered a free MOOC course on, I believe, artificial intelligence. And I want to say there was something insane, like 160,000 people enrolled for it. It was some enormous size class. So I guess 200, not that bad. No. But that's the beauty. These systems are built for really large scale enrollment and for people anywhere. And for people who want to learn at their own pace, at their own time. So some of the leading MOOC platforms, the biggest one is Coursera. You may have heard of some of these. So Coursera has 23 million registered users. edX is rapidly growing. It's the second largest. It now has 10 million registered users. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but I'm guessing it's Zutang X, I'm guessing. That's 6 million users. FutureLearn, 5.3. Udacity, 4 million. So there are other kinds of MOOC platforms like Khan Academy, would probably be considered a MOOC. Udemy is another one. There's lots of other platforms that you may or may not have heard of, so you might be more familiar with MOOCs than you realize that you are. So that's kind of the environment for MOOCs, and they've been around for a little bit less than 10 years. I think about 8 years is when they really started to emerge. So they've grown, they've adapted, they've expanded over this time. So I'm going to show you this video on edX. It doesn't work playing in here, so I'm going to skip over to YouTube.
Welcome to edX. I'm Anand Agarwal. I'm the president of edX. I'm also a professor of electrical engineering and computer science at MIT. Online learning is revolutionizing the world. Education will never be the same again. And edX is at the cutting edge of this revolution. So when you take edX courses online, you are part of this revolution. Online learning is the ultimate democratizer. When you learn on edX, you are joining a community. Imagine taking a class with 100,000 or more students. This is social. This is a lot of fun. I think you will enjoy the experience. And edX, it's about people. It's not about profit. For you, edX is about the best courses from the best schools and the best professors. Becoming a member of edX is easy.
We're really excited to have you here. We're going to get you started. Quick, 3 easy steps. Browse, choose, and have some fun. Registration takes seconds. And once you register, just browse the courses. When you find something that you like, click it. It's that easy. Choose wisely. You're selecting courses from the best schools all around the world. Make sure to check the prerequisites. Now you can choose your course, and you're on your way. Welcome to the club.
Now that you've signed up for a course, you can view courseware. The courseware is made up of great videos, automated feedback, and cool interactive features, all for self-paced learning. The interactives are designed to help you explore your understanding of key concepts. A big part of edX is getting instant feedback on your answers, frequently in the form of a green check mark. In a lot of questions, you can try as many times as you need to get that right answer. Courses can be tough. We make sure that they're rigorous, but they can also be a lot of fun. A big part of edX is the social aspect. You can be as social as you want on the discussion boards. In our forums, there's an active community. It's not just the professors. Students help each other out. A typical course can run a semester length, or about 12 weeks. Once you've completed the course, you're part of our group of lifelong learners.
edX's mission is to help you get a quality education. edX will increase access to learning for students such as yourself worldwide. This is fun, this is exciting, and this is revolutionary. Welcome to edX. Come join us.
edX was founded by Harvard University and MIT in 2012. So if you're going to pick a MOOC, why not pick one by Harvard and MIT, right? So far to date, there are 1,300 courses in total that have been created and are available on the system. I believe I read that 500 of those alone were added last year. So last year has seen a lot of significant growth. 53 of those are paid, so you can pay for a certificate. A lot of that's professional development, so if you wanted to get some kind of certificate for your work, right, or to demonstrate that you have some work-related knowledge or skill, you can get a certificate. You can enroll in their professional development programs. 13 of the courses are credit eligible, and what this means is edX has partnered with Arizona State University, and you can take your first year of undergraduate courses on edX and transfer it to Arizona State University. So you can do it at home at a reduced cost, and then when you're ready to actually go to the university, you can then apply the courses you took online at edX to your undergraduate degree. There are 2,300 faculty, more than that, and staff who are teaching courses, and so there are 30 plus partner universities and member universities that participate in producing content, producing courses for the platform. So they're either courses that were initially created for edX by and of itself, or they're courses that were adapted from existing curriculum at these universities. So Stanford, Berkeley, really high-end universities are all contributing to the courses here that you can take on edX. 840,000 certificates have been earned, and there are now, like I said, 10 million registered users. And if you're curious to learn more about it, the address is edx.org. Apparently there's also some kind of DJ with the same name, so don't confuse the two. I don't know, one might be a little more entertaining than the other, but maybe they're similar, I don't know. The goals of edX are to increase access to high-quality education for everyone, everywhere, to enhance teaching and learning on campus and online, and to advance teaching and learning through research. So those are their 3 main goals. So they have a variety of programs. I'm not going to read through all the details on these, but they have programs for individuals. So they have a micro master's certificate, they have a professional certificate, and then they have what's called the X series certificate. These are more of just the standalone courses that you can take. They also offer now courses and content for businesses, like training and development. They'll either produce content for you, or there is also content and courses available for people at businesses to take, to help their employees to develop. There's also one other element to edX. So part of what edX's philosophy about is democratization of learning. And one way that they do that is they have this very advanced platform. I mean, I'm geeky, but I'm like not that geeky, right? But what they do is they make their platform, their technology available in open source. Right? So there's the main edX website, which is edx.org, and you go there and you can take any one of those kind of configurations of courses. But if you want to install edX for your own organization, any organization, for-profit, non-profit, if you're a standalone instructor, if you have the technical ability, it's a little bit of a challenge, but you can set it up on your own server for free, right? And there's a whole community of this open edX platform. In fact, in May, I believe they have an annual conference. I think in May it's in Spain, I believe is the conference. So the open edX part of edX has actually really grown significantly since they first launched it. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but that's actually how I came to write this book. At the time I was asked to write the book, and I'll show you a little bit of that history, I was working for a software company in Santa Barbara, California. And we were experimenting with using edX as our internal training platform. So at the time, I was helping not to technically install it, but I was working with programmers and our developers to install the platform on one of our servers, and we started to experiment with how we could use it. Now, it was a little bit more robust, I think, than we needed it to be for the size of our organization, but it's really a valuable and a viable resource for really any organization of any size if you really have a plan to use it. It's probably most useful for a large size organization with multiple locations. So the benefit of this kind of a system is that if, let's say you have 10,000 employees, right, you could offer one course and it could accommodate all of those 10,000 employees wherever they are in the world, right? And so edX offers this code to, again, democratize learning, to make it more freely available. And the great thing is, one of the things that he had said in the video is that it's all about community, right? It's about learning together. It's about developing this, in academic terms, you would call it a community of practice, right? And so the point of edX is to bring people together under this common goal of learning. So part of what the open edX concept is to extend and expand that opportunity even beyond the main edX platform, for which you have to go through kind of a vetting process, and there are certain requirements that you have to meet if you're going to contribute courses to the platform. So this really opens it up for a lot of other people. So let me switch over to the book. Part of why I focus more about edX and MOOCs first is, to be honest, the book is really an instruction manual. It's not a novel about edX, right? It's not a lot of poetry about learning or anything. It's a really straightforward, very declaratively written kind of instruction. So if you wanted to design, develop, and deploy a course on edX, either through the main platform, like if your university participates, or if you have an open edX installation, this book will guide you through the process. So again, the slogan or the tagline for the book, for those of you, my fellow colleagues in marketing, is to design, develop, and deploy an interactive and informative MOOC course for the edX platform. Now, those of you who know me will recognize there's a lot of alliteration in this. I spent many long nights coming up with this to make sure that it had a lot of alliteration in it. And the purpose of the book is that it teaches you tools and techniques you need to know. It's a workshop in a book, basically. It's a how-to, right? It's like a cookbook, basically, for edX. And it walks you through 8 steps to create your first edX course. So the way that I organized the book is that I organized it in the way that if I were going to create an edX course, how would I do it? Like, what would be the steps? Like, in what order would I break it down and put it back together? Because I've developed a lot of online courses. And I actually worked from the edX documentation. And I had some assistance from edX, they were helpful, and I worked from their existing technical documentation. But who here has ever read technical documentation for anything? What's it like reading technical documentation? I see head shaking and looks of consternation, and yeah. So when I looked at their technical documentation, I thought, who wrote this? And how? A lot of times technical documentation is just that, it's technical, right? And it's not written for human consumption. Because it's written by like meta-humans or something. I don't know who writes it. But it's very hard to digest. And even though all the information for my book was already somewhere else, what my goal was to do was to take all that information, kind of deconstruct it, reorganize it, and reconstruct it. It's like the $6 million book, right? $6 Million Man. Some of you will get that reference. And I really tried to put it in an order that made sense, that would make sense to not just me, but anybody. And because I speak geek, I was able to filter through a lot of the information and try to make some sense of it. And fortunately, edX has what's called a sandbox platform online where you can go in and mess with the platform and you can make changes to things. And it's not a live, I mean, it's live in that it's functional, but you're not going to mess up your own installation. You're not going to break it, right? And every night at midnight it like resets itself. So I was able to do a combination of reading existing technical documentation and just geeking out, right? Just going in and messing with stuff and making it work. So each chapter signifies a step in the curriculum development and implementation process, and that's really how I designed the book, as like a step-by-step. So you read chapter 1, that's what you do. You move on to chapter 2. We're going to go over what the chapters are. So, the chapters. So the chapters are about getting started, like giving you some background like I did on MOOCs and edX, giving you an idea of the relevance of edX. What do you even want to create a course for edX? 2, planning your curriculum. Now in a lot of these cases, people are converting the curriculum, right? You're not creating new stuff, you're just making it work for this new medium. 3, producing videos. This was the most fun one for me to do, right? Because so much of what online learning now is it's video, right? And I know we do a lot of video here, but they really heavily focus on it. So I tried to collect a lot of information from various experts that either I knew or that I didn't know, and I tried to put a lot of best practices, even like how to set up the lighting, right? So if you had never done video before, how would you do it, right? How do you set it up? How do you even start? And then how do you use YouTube? Because pretty much for edX, all of the videos on YouTube are unlisted, so unless you know where to go to find them, you won't necessarily find them, but you can still watch the videos outside of edX if you know the links, right? 4, designing exercises. So these are activities, these are the quizzes, these are the assessments, basically, that in the video she talked about with the check marks and those kind of things. Number 5 is integrating the curriculum, putting everything together, right? Bringing everything in and setting up the course. So now that you have all the pieces, how do you put the puzzle back together? 6 is about administering your course, right? Now that you have the course, now what? How do you do grading? How do you deal with, communicating with students? How do you interact in the discussion boards? All these things. 7 is similar, right? 7 is more about best practices of teaching in general, right? How do you teach online, right? How do you take what you do typically in a classroom and work with the system? So 6 and 7 are kind of similar, and they kind of piggyback off each other. 6 is a lot more of the detail, to be honest with you, a lot more of the nuts and bolts of how the system works, right? How you do stuff. And then 8, actually, this is where my marketing geek kicks in, because 8 actually, technically, well, it's related to edX, but it's also... In the 1989 movie Field of Dreams, Ray Kinsella, the main character played by Kevin Costner, is told by a mysterious voice that if you build it, he will come. The he eventually is his father, right? The premise is that if he builds a baseball field in his cornfield, then his late father, with whom he had a troubled relationship, will appear. After a mystical adventure, he builds the field, and not only does his father materialize, but other deceased baseball players arrive as well. Unfortunately, as wonderful a movie as Field of Dreams is, you most likely won't have the same experience with your edX course, or really any online course, right? Just because you build it doesn't mean students will materialize out of thin air like the baseball players in that movie. The solution is to promote your course using traditional and non-traditional marketing tactics. To help you with this final step, this chapter suggests strategies you can use to promote your edX course to increase enrollment and improve engagement among future, current, and former students alike. From social media to networking with students, this chapter offers actionable approaches and sensible strategies to attract students. To accomplish this in this chapter, you will learn how to tackle traditional marketing tools, explore edX's marketing options, survey social media marketing, better understand personal branding, which I'll talk about at an upcoming event, maximizing marketing metrics, and leverage student feedback. So what I tried to do here is give you an overview of just all the kind of things you could do. So traditional marketing is everything from flyers, right? Bulletin boards, old school stuff, right? Just because we're in a digital age doesn't mean old school doesn't still work, right? Flyers, word of mouth, right? That's a big one. That might have something to do with why I have 200 students, I don't know. But just because we live in a social media world doesn't mean you can forget those old school tactics. Sometimes they work even better, right? Sometimes the challenge with social media is that there's so much information out there. What do you watch, What do you pay attention to? So my hope with this chapter, and you really could read this chapter even if you're not specifically using edX, it just gives you strategies and ways to think about how to promote and market your book or enrollment. I don't think I have this problem at the moment, but this might be helpful to those of you who might. So really briefly, I want to just talk about my experience in writing the book. So this took a long time, as some of you attested. When I first got contacted, they thought it would take 6 months. It took 18 months. I started writing this when I lived in California. I lived in a small city north of Los Angeles called Carpinteria, near Santa Barbara. I started writing it when I lived in Santa Barbara. I finished writing it when I lived here, right? So I even wrote it one time going from Dubai to LA at 38,000 feet in an A380. Mostly I just turned on the laptop to say that I wrote it at 38,000 feet over the North Pole. Marketing, right? I don't know, I tried to estimate how many hours I spent on this, but every time I started to cry. So like, I don't know, I think maybe 1,500 hours, I don't know, because it's about 300 pages, right? And a lot of that 300 pages was like, screenshots, copy, paste, this, this, edit, redo, like, it's probably twice that, to be honest with you, but I'm kind of afraid to count if I had to stop. The publisher is a UK-based publisher called Pact, and they primarily just churn out like really technical manuals. So in a weird way, like this is, like I'm geeky, but not super crazy geeky. So it was kind of a little bit of a leap of faith for me because literally what happened, so I still save this. So part of the brief background is I've been wanting to write a book since 3rd grade. Okay, I didn't really care what the book was about. In 3rd grade, I started to write like a horror story about an evil hand that comes back from a guy that got killed. I think he was a king, and he gets revenge, right? Stephen King inspired me. So it started in 3rd grade. How old you were? Was that 7 or something? I don't know. In college, I started writing 3 novels. One day I'll finish them. I have binders full of stuff. One day, I don't know. But I was literally on November 5th, 2013, remember the 5th of November, I got a message on LinkedIn from Ashish, who's now my Facebook friend. Hi, Ashish. And I just got this message out of the blue, totally unsolicited. Now, you get unsolicited messages now and then. I was a little leery, so I did a lot of Googling and a lot of checking, and I kind of took a leap of faith. So it all started here, right? So that's how the adventure started. I went through a couple different like editors, basically. They're awesome guys. All of them, all the production is based out of Mumbai, and the staff is so awesome. Like I don't know. For those of you who've written a book, you start losing faith somewhere in the process. So even though I'm a DC Comics guy, we started this rallying cry of Hulk smash. I don't know where it came from, but every time we would lose faith, Hulk smash, and I would record videos for them and send them to the production staff, and then they would message me back, and the smash became our rallying cry, right? So we smashed the book. To bring everything current, so I don't know, last June, out of the blue, I got a message again on LinkedIn. So for those of you who don't have LinkedIn, create a LinkedIn profile. Right. I got a message from a guy who said, hi, I'm a developer in Abu Dhabi, and my client is using the Open edX platform for a educational startup in Dubai, and I bought your book. Now, I said, by the way, do you realize I'm like up the street from you? And like, I realized that, I don't know if he did at the time, so basically, I met my first reader here in Dubai, right? And he developed a platform, an online learning platform called Cohen Education, and it's based on the Open edX platform. What it is, it offers 3 diplomas delivered in Arabic to provide Arab youth with technical knowledge and soft skills to capitalize on MENA's growing digital economy. I think there's a number somewhere, it's like $300 million or something crazy like that, maybe more, like the potential value of the digital economy here in MENA. So they offer 3 diplomas in digital transformation and organizations, digital entrepreneurship, digital consultancy. So it's a 16-course diploma, and it's accredited by BTech Pearson, and then each course is 3 months, and they only cost $100 each, right? So it's not a university degree, but it's a way of getting some additional skill enhancement. So I'm sort of indirectly working with them at the moment to assist them and assist faculty they bring on to make videos and to help them produce the courses based on the book, because they use my book to help develop the platform. So for me, this was kind of a great full circle thing, and it was all kind of nice that all the dots connected and all the lines converged and everything else, especially what is the randomness of that happening, in general. So for everything to finally reconnect here, full circle. It was really felt very fulfilling. And again, to go way back to the idea even of edX of, democratizing learning and sharing information. Well, how great is it to know that as an author, right, that something you wrote helped somebody else, right? Like as a teacher, sometimes we joke, if I could just touch one student's life and make them learn and make them love learning, my job is complete. Kind of. But it's the same for writing, right? Again, so many lonely hours writing away in the darkness, and you're like, who's going to read this? And is it going to help anyone? And like, someone say, look at my royalty statement. I'm like, I think I could buy a Subway sandwich with that, maybe. I don't know. But it was nice to see at the end it all came together, right? And that somebody, at least one person, especially somebody here, used it. So I feel really happy that that happened. So in conclusion, I'm actually going to end with a quote that I used to start the book. So I don't know how many of you know who Sir Ken Robinson is, but he's basically, he's a British author, speaker, and international advisor on education. And he's had some great TED Talks if you're curious to learn more about improving education. So he has this quote that curiosity is the engine of achievement. So I started the book with this saying, if you're curious, edX is a great way to satiate or satisfy that curiosity. So I hope that in some small part this presentation inspired your curiosity so that you might explore edX, and even if it's not edX, that you explore other opportunities and other ways to learn here at the university and even beyond the university. So thank you so much for this invitation, and
on behalf of the university and my office, it's a great pleasure to have this really wonderful speech. Okay, I'm really amazed. It was so interesting, and I have something that I want really to appreciate what Matthew did today for us. We have a special certificate. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.